Welcome to Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissi Sperduto, the podcast that's like having a personal business coach in your pocket, giving you bite-sized tips and small mindset shifts every week. I'm your host, Chrissi Sperduto. I'm a network marketer turned productivity and mindset coach who grew her businesses while holding down a successful career in aviation. I'm on a mission to help you fit your business into everyday life. I believe you are capable of achieving success no matter how chaotic your life is. Consider me your no-nonsense guide to getting it all done. Join me here on the podcast each week where we'll chat everything from systems to help you fit your business into real life, to business and marketing tips, plus time management hacks, mindset shifts that can help you find the courage to take the next step in your business, and real life stories to inspire and empower you to go after your goals. Let's go, CEO. We have work to do. Grab your favorite cup of coffee or wine, no judgment, and let's get ready to ditch those inner mean girl thoughts ringing in the back of your head so you can embrace your inner badass and go do the dang thing. Welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. This episode is going to be a super tangible one, so I'm really excited for you to give this a listen. I'm calling this my steal my business, my weekly business checklist, and these are kind of the things that I try to do every week to make my week run just a little bit smoother. And I will just say here right at the beginning, I do not always get to everything on my weekly running to-do list, but I try. But then if I miss a week, it is totally not the end of the world. So I have three main areas that I work in that I'm going to do a deep dive into each one of them. They are admin tasks, marketing tasks, and CEO tasks. And I try to do each section on a different day of the week. But abundant weeks, sometimes they all do have to happen on the same day. And I used to try to do originally, I tried to do like my admin stuff on Monday, I tried to do marketing on Wednesday, and my CEO tasks on Friday. But it got to be too much pressure to kind of do them like if life got busy or if I had other things going on, like, on Wednesdays, it's quiet in my house in the afternoon. So that's a perfect podcast recording episode day versus like I could do marketing tasks when my husband is home and making a bunch of noise. Um, Anyways, so I kind of gave up the I have to do it on a specific day of the week and I just try to get to it sometime throughout the week. I do try to do each section, so the admin, the marketing, and the CEO tasks together because as we've talked about in previous episodes, you can really kind of get into the groove of things when you're doing similar activities. So as you work through marketing activities, you kind of turn on that marketing side of your brain and you can knock out a lot of that really fast because it takes you like 20 or so minutes to really get in the groove of things. And then once you're in that groove, you are good to go. And I do, so I'm not going to give you like the how to do this. I'm just going to kind of give you the what I do. And you can figure out the how. I personally keep all of this organized inside of a Google sheet. I almost called it a Google spreadsheet, but that doesn't make sense. A Google sheet. So it's handy and I don't have to flip between a million different platforms. Other ideas for you might be Trello with like a checklist. You could do kind of a checklist inside of your notes if you're an Apple user, because then you can access it on your phone and your computer, all the places. You could even just go in Canva and make a checklist that you print out every week. Or you print 10 of them out and then you have them for the next 10 weeks. So um, I love having some place where I actually check these off and like having the dopamine hit of, oh, I did that, and actually like checking them off or changing the color. I love inside of the notes app on my phone, the little check mark option. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but checking things off as I go is so amazing. Um, and I will say I am purposely not giving you a resource. Like I'm not just going to hand you a Google Sheet or a Canva template or anything like that because every single person's business is going to have unique tasks that you need to do each week that are different than my tasks. But I want you to use this episode as kind of a jumping off point with ideas that you can use so you can take this and run with it and make it your own, unique to your business, and make it fit to what you need. So I'm kind of, I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm not going to give you the answers because the answers are already within you. You know what tasks you need to be doing, and you know what tasks that you're avoiding. And maybe putting it on a checklist will be the motivation of getting that check mark knocked out. That might just be the motivation that you need to actually do it. So, now, before I tell you, I'm gonna go into each one of these parts. So part one, two, and three. Before we jump into them, I want to remind you, go back to the episode of aiming for 80%. B minus work is what we're aiming for. I'm going to have a lot of very specific examples listed for you, but if I am crunched for time, I pick the most important tasks that are going to have the biggest impact on my business, and I skip the rest. But because I try to do all of them every single week, missing a week here or there on the less important things really is not a big deal. Okay, let's jump right into the first topic. The first topic is admin tasks. This is not always the most fun activities. It's definitely ones that I avoid, but they are things that you need to do to keep the back end of your business and all of your systems running so you don't waste a whole bunch of time. So one of the things that I've gotten in the habit of doing every single week is checking my website. So I want to make sure my offers make sense, everything is up to date, links work. If there's a page that I want to rework, I'll do one page at a time so I don't end up spending an entire day updating my website, right? We want to just do a little bit at a time, a little bit of maintenance. If you're running like webinars and things like that, like make sure that your link trees are up to date or your link in bios. Like make sure that those are up to date with your most current offers, with all of the things. The next thing I try to do is inbox zero. I try to keep up with this daily, but sometimes I do get behind. Going to inbox zero the first time that I did was a task, but now it is so glorious. It calms all of the overwhelm, and I know that if something's in my inbox, it needs my attention. Okay. And if I do that at least once a week, it never, gets out of control, overwhelming. Like it might take me 10 or 15 minutes. The next thing I do is organize all of my files. So this is actually something that I teach inside the new business roadmap from the very beginning of your business. You want to come up with an organization system that works for you, and then every week keep up with it. So if you do it once a week, or even I have some students that do it at the end of every day, like part of their shutdown, like leaving the office procedure is to like file all the things away. So when you download something and it's in the downloads file, and then all of a sudden your downloads folder is 4,000 items deep and you can never find anything. Yeah, you are wasting so much time. At the end of every day or once a week, go through the downloads folder, go through your desktop, get it cleaned up, get it put in the right spot. And if you don't have a file system that works for your business, make one. Stop wasting time looking for things or reinventing the wheel because you can't find things that you need. Along the same page, excuse me, I also organize my photos. So I have a Mac and I have all things Apple, iPad, iPhone. So my phone actually syncs to my laptop. So once a week I go in and I clean up everything on my laptop. Like we need the big internet here. We need the real working here. But it also will reflect on my phone. So whatever organization I do in iPhoto will sync up between my MacBook and my cell phone. So I file my pictures to appropriate folders. I delete things that I don't need. But then the next time that I go in and I need to find a picture or a video, I can find it quickly and not waste a bunch of time. My favorite folder here is my B-roll folder. So I will take a day and I will record 30 or 40 B-rolls all at once, file it away in that folder. And when I want to make a B-roll reel, I just open that folder. It's so fast and so easy. I save so much time this way. And then the last thing I do is I tidy up my workspace. So I try to make it so like there's not a bunch of junk all over my desk. Coffee cups make it their way into the sink. And doing this once a week makes it so it's never a huge, giant, crazy task. Okay. And all of these tasks together take me no more than 30 minutes because I do them every week. If I were to wait and only organize my photos or my files once a month, it would probably take me a lot longer because I'd have to open every single one and see what is this? Do I actually need this? And of course, while I do this, I race myself. I use my visual timer and I set my timer and I'm like, I gotta race the clock, right? I love this timer. I will link it in the show notes for you. Okay, part two, marketing activities. So we talked about admin activities, now marketing activities. If you do not market yourself, you will not have a business. So this is so, so important. And depending on what your business is, this is going to look a little bit different, but we all still have the same main marketing things that we do, right? The first thing that I do is I update my client database. So I have like a running spreadsheet. It's in the same Google Sheet as my checklist. I keep a running sheet with all of my current clients. I update their record once a week to see what they're working on. I write notes to keep up with all of them. Like, especially if you have a lot of clients, it's going to be hard to keep up with them. So don't rely on your brain. Like, help your brain out. Go through your messages, see where they are, update their little, thing. Write yourself a note if you want to check back with them in a week. I don't go super detailed in this, but enough that the next time that I chat with them, I don't have to rack my brain and like spend a whole bunch of mental bandwidth to remember what we talked about last. I try to keep it 10 minutes or less. So I will open the sheet, I will open my DMs both on Facebook and Instagram, and I will go through um I'll basically just go through all of my messages and update them inside that records. I also have a database for potential clients. So again, while I'm going through the DMs, I update either the current clients or the potential clients database, and I just kind of write myself some notes so I can remember who I've been chatting with, so I can go back and chat with them again because it's all about relationship building. On abundant weeks, I will say that these two are probably the first thing that go, just because it does take a little bit of mental energy to do it. And it's important, but it's not the end all be all of things. If I have 10 minutes and that's all that I have to work, I'm probably gonna go and interact with people and, like, actually have conversations with people versus updating the database, you know? You tracking with me? Okay. Then I move on, so part of my marketing plan is batching my content because I'm busy, I have a full-time job, and so I we've talked endlessly about this. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but if I do not sit down and all at once put all of my mental energy into batching all of my content for the week or the month or whatever, it's simply just not going to get done. So, part of my marketing on whatever day I do my marketing activities is batching my content. I also have started planning my stories for the week, which has been a game changer. Again, sit down, use the mental energy once instead of having to think about it 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. And then I will also batch my reels for social media. So, like a day like today where I'm recording a podcast and my hair is clean and I have a cute outfit on, like, because if you're listening to this, I also put these videos up on YouTube. So I do try to like look somewhat presentable, but this would be a great day to also record some reels. Now this category, like the marketing, kind of has a lot. So I do actually usually end up splitting this up. Um, my brain prefers to work on a month to month basis for content and Sunday to Saturday for stories for whatever reason, and Sunday to Saturday for reels. So I usually will plan out my reels, or I'm sorry, my stories and my reels on Sunday. And then towards the end of the month, I'll batch the whole next month's worth of social media content all at once. And that's mainly like for Facebook or Instagram. Um, but the big thing is here, not how you do it, because this took me, 7 different ways of practicing it before I found a way that actually worked for me. But it's more about just getting ahead of your content so you're never sitting on the couch at 8:30 p.m. staring at your phone saying, "What should I post today?" when you're exhausted and you're not being strategic. Um, I feel like again, I'm kind of beating a dead horse with this, but I have an entire course on content batching because that's how important I think it is. I think every single business owner needs to be strategic with their content and plan it ahead of time instead of just kind of planning it in the moment, because the content that you plan in the moment sucks. Sorry to be rude, but and I will say there are some people that like are really good in the moment. I am not one of those people. I want to plan. I want to execute the plan ahead of time. And it really helps with my creativity and all of the things if I plan it ahead of time. Okay. So that was number two, marketing. So everything with marketing, I try to do together. I do try to market every day. I try to be in conversations every day. But the planning side of the marketing and the strategic side of the marketing, I try to do all at once, all in one day. Okay. Then finally, part three, CEO day. This is when I put on my business owner hat and I get out of the trenches and into strategy. Okay. First, my first thing when I do on CEO day is I have to be the CEO of my home before I'm the CEO of my business. So I plan our meals for the week and I order my groceries. And once that's done, it's almost the weekend. I usually do this one on Fridays. Next up, I take a look at my weekly metrics. So I actually have my virtual assistant pull this data once a week on Thursdays. So I don't have to spend time working on it because, right, anyone can pull data for me and then I just look at it. So she pulls data on social media interaction, views, number of followers, that sort of thing, podcast listens, like downloads, my number of sales, data along those lines. There's a lot of social media data in there, like the number of followers, the number of reels that I posted, and I kind of track this data week to week to see like, okay, this week I posted 10 reels. How many new followers did I get? This week I posted, 7 reels. How many followers did I get? Um, and so it's just kind of staying on top of the data instead of waiting till the end of the month. I try to do this every single week. Do I get to it every single week? No. But it is really interesting to watch. Social media data is actually like the precursor to my sales data. So the months that I have really good social media interaction, it's the next month that I have really good sales. So just a little food for thought. If you're not tracking your social media data, your podcast data, that sort of thing weekly, I would really highly encourage you to track it every week. And then I make sure I'm getting my money. So I check my invoices. I make sure everything's paid. If not, I either send an invoice if they need to be sent, or I send reminders, or like if I need to get on the phone and call someone and see what's going on, I make sure that I'm getting my money. I also, along the same lines as of money, I review my bank account, my credit card. My husband actually takes care of my books, but if you are your own bookkeeper, like go ahead and do your books as well. Um, and when you do this every week, especially with your books, if you keep up with your books every single week, it only takes a minute to keep up with it. If you wait and do it only once a year at tax time, like it's going to take you a couple of days versus a couple of minutes every week, right? Because the transactions are on the front of your mind. What you did, like what you spent your money on, is in the front of your mind. And this is also where you can catch things like, oh, I'm in this subscription and I'm not using it. Let me go ahead and cancel that. You can stay on top of the money side of your business. That is part of being the CEO, is being in charge of your money. Okay. Then I really put on my kind of strategy hat. I do a correction of errors report, which is basically just a note from present me to future me, telling future me what not to do again or how to do something a little bit differently next time. So, as I'm recording this episode, I just got done with a big launch. And I have so many things rattling around in my head about, oh, I like this. I didn't like this. I would do this differently next time. This really worked well. Try this next time. So I will take that all out of my head and I will dump it down on paper. And when I say a report, like I'm not writing like a big Word document. Again, it's going inside of my Google Sheet. And I'm just, maybe it's a notebook for you. And I'm just writing down everything that's on my brain. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be perfect. But the next time I go to launch a similar offer, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at that and say, what did past me want to tell future me right now about launching this same product again? Then I take a look at my quarterly and my monthly goals. I make any adjustments. Sometimes goals need to be adjusted. Um, and this keeps all of my goals and the big picture for my whole business in the forefront of my mind. Instead of just setting a goal on the first of the year or the first of the quarter, I set the goal and then I every week I try to check in with it and see how am I going? What do I need to adjust? Then I do a quick weekly I do a quick weekly reflection. So I look at what went well, what things I'm celebrating, how it's going working towards my goals. Do you notice that I do what went well and what I'm celebrating first? Because then I'm going to start asking myself, like, okay, how's it going towards my goals? And immediately my brain's going to start going towards the negative. If I do the celebrations first, my brain doesn't default to the negative. And this whole like weekly reflection, like the idea of weekly reflections and how to do them are actually available for free in my free resource library. So if you're like, hey, I probably need to do weekly reflections too, please don't reinvent the wheel. Go download it. I'll link it in the show notes. Um, Now, one of my questions in my reflection is what did I need to do? I'm sorry, what did I do that I didn't need to do? Which prompts me to ask myself, could I have deleted that or could I have delegated it? Okay, that's such an important one when you're in that CEO mindset of, hey, what did I go and do that I didn't really need to do? And then that flows super naturally into um delegating my tasks to my virtual assistant for the next week. So we use Trello to keep track of all of our projects and tasks, but I know that she can't read my mind. And I also don't want to blow up her phone 24/7 because while I'm working, she's homeschooling her kids. So I don't want to interrupt her. So we make sure that we both have a successful week by me putting a checklist of things that I want done in priority order on her Trello board. And I do this way, way, way ahead of time. So she has an opportunity to plan her week too. Okay. So I do this on Friday for the following Monday. And this is me being respectful of her and her time. If you have a VA, I would highly suggest you do this too and make sure that they know what success looks like. They know what the expectations are. They know what the priorities are because they might not have time to get to everything. And so, what is the highest priority item for you and what can wait? And then finally, I plan my following week. So I block out when I'm going to work on things, I block out my appointments, I put in time to rest, and of course, I put all the fun things that I want to do for the week. I know CEO day sounds kind of like a lot, but I can usually knock all of this out in 30 to 45 minutes. I actually have a 30-minute recurring block on my calendar on Fridays. And because I do this every week, it's not a ton of data to sift through. It is a manageable amount of things to do. And like I said in the beginning, make this what you need. You might not need to delegate things to your VA. You might not want to do a correction of errors report every single week. Maybe you want to do it once a month. Maybe you have a bookkeeper, so you don't need to do your books. Whatever it is, adjust it to fit. This is why I'm not giving you an exact formula here. Because I want you to create it with your business in mind. All right, that's my checklist. You might want to give this another listen with a notebook and pull out the things that you actually want to do, add your things that I didn't mention that you want to do. Um, and I will also add here, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, this started with just a couple of things, and then I worked up from there. So pick your top 3 to 5 tasks and put them in a note on your phone or create a Google Sheet or write it on a Post-it note or make a checklist in Canva. I don't care. It's not the how that matters. It's you're checking in with your business every single week for major categories that count. And then just pick a day and start using it. Start doing it. Do the dang thing, my friend. That's what this podcast is all about. All right, my friend, that is it for today. Thank you for tuning in. And hey, if this was helpful, could you take a quick minute out of your very busy day? I know how busy you are. because I'm just as busy as you are. But could you please take a minute out of your very busy day and leave a rating and review? This is going to help this podcast know, like, and the algorithm of podcasts, why there's an algorithm for everything, I don't know, but it will help the algorithm know who to push this out to. And of course, if you have a friend that could use some of these highly implementatable business tips, and of course, a little kick in the butt every once in a while, please share this episode with them. I will talk to you next week. Have a great week. Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissi Sperduto. If you know someone that could benefit from today's chat, please send this episode their way. Also, I love to see what you're doing while you listen. Share what you're up to while you listen to today's episode and tag me in your stories at Chrissi Sperduto for a shout out. Plus, while you're there, hit follow for even more tips, behind the scene views of what I do in my business, and plenty of encouragement for you along your business journey. If you'd like to explore more resources and learn how we can work together through one of my online programs or through one-on-one coaching, head to chrissisperduto.com. Please always remember that you are not alone on this adventure. I am always rooting for you. Until next time, keep doing the dang thing. Bye!